So welcome everyone. If you could take your seats and we'll get started. When Kiersten and I were sitting in her office or our office, or I don't remember, we're across the hall from each other over here at school, that conceiving of what we should be doing for this conference, and we came upon the idea of sustainability. And we came upon the idea of, yes, we did the summit, and that was sort of the charge, and the funds had be designated, and we needed to gather. What do we need to do now? And one of the things we came upon was talk about sustainability. So we said, all right, let's do that. So we pulled together a group of people that we thought would be able to share their perspective on that question, because I've been doing this for 36 years as an educator, 20 as an ed tech person and professional development person, and it is always a challenge to continue to grow and to sustain that growth, whether it's budgetarily, philosophically, in the soul, heart and soul. You know what I'm talking about if you're involved in that. So that's what today's panel is about. And hopefully we'll get some insight. So the way we've got this set up is I'll do a quick introduction of the folks that are here, and then we'll each get a little time to talk. I think we said 7 minutes, but if they don't use that up, or okay, right. A little, she's sweating a little bit. It's okay. But then there'll be time for some questions for you, or something you'd like to share to the conversation as well. So in my quick notes that I have written down here, and this is probably not in order of, it might be actually.
Yeah.
Actually it is, look at that. Look at that. Did you line them up that way?
We just followed.
You did. I was saying that here.
We followed somewhere else.
I'll just name them and then they'll introduce themselves and talk about it. But we have Dr. Amy DelCorvo from NYSCATE, you've met her already. This is Shannon Logan from the New York State Education Department. And next to her is Andrea Tejedor, Dr. Andrea Tejedor, who is Assistant Superintendent for Curriculum and Instruction at the Highland Fort Montgomery School District in mouthful. For a small place, it's got a big name. All right, and next to her is Nick Pantaleone, a fascinating human being who I have observed and has the guts to be a central office, again with Andrea, a central office school administrator. It is not easy to do that. They've both done building work, but it is hard because you don't see kids every day all the time. It's tough, I know. I work with them. And they care deeply about what's going on. They work very hard, so we'll hear what they have to say today. Next is Josephine Salvador. Josephine is with the Master Teacher, Executive Director of the Master Teacher Program. Which is a very robust program statewide. Some of you may be familiar with it. She'll talk about a little bit about that as well. And then finally, Kiersten Greene, Dr. Kiersten Greene, who always has something to share with us, some deep thought. So why don't we go ahead and get started? Did we have a particular, you want to just go across? Okay, I'll try to keep time. And I don't have a hook with me, but one of those things they use in
ready?
vaudeville. I'm ready. You're ready. Go ahead.
All right. Well, good morning again. I'm going to keep this fairly short and sweet. I actually offered my time up, and Kiersten felt it was important that we share the voice from NYSCATE. And I just want to share a little bit of a personal perspective. I'm only my 10th year as Executive Director and CEO of NYSCATE, but prior to that, I worked at 3 BOCES throughout the state. Went through those BOCES for 13 years, really formed my career. Or Delta BOCES, and then served as the Assistant Superintendent role on the number 1 BOCES at Rochester as well. And during that time, I was on the NYSCATE board for 20 years. So if you add it up on 51, so save yourself a few moments of doing the math there. The importance of why I said that is I always felt while I was on the board and as president of the board that if we were to do our job correctly at NYSCATE, we would put ourselves out of job. And what I mean by that is if we properly showed people how to integrate technology into the curriculum, there would not be any room or any space for NYSCATE, because we would be enveloped into the Science Teachers Associations, the Social Studies Association, School Administrators Association, etc. And so we worked very hard. I worked very hard knowing at some point that there would be an end to it. And then moving along, and as I shared my career with Greenlands, I had a mentor in most of my career. His name was Jack McCabe. And I remember the first day of my job, he walked into my office and he said, you have one task in your position. And the task was, how do you institutionalize innovation? So if you stop and think for a moment, how do we institutionalize education or innovation? And the first thing people think about is what? Technology, right? So what's next technology? How can I fit it in? You all know about the technology merit badge. One student per computer, one iPad, this, that. So quickly what I learned in the course of my career is that it's not about innovation, not necessarily technology, but where it comes to tie this with the sustainability is that it truly comes down to how do you institutionalize a culture of change, right? So it means things are constantly changing no matter what, and not all cultures can adapt to that. And I think that is the secret of long-term sustainability. And I can sit here and I can talk to you about what we offer at NYSCATE as far as some of the robotics courses and the STEM summits, which will be coming up in this coming year, the augmented reality, virtual reality, all the things that are on that cutting edge, those emerging technologies. And I think you're going to see some of that that's why I had to go first, by the way. One of my co-presenters is going to blow you away. So me with my paper and pen wanted to do this first. I can sit here and tell you about all that, but I think the importance of all of this is the following, that the key to sustainability and growth in the ed tech space, other than this K-20 relationship, which is critical, is that you have to keep in mind that as an educator, you need to be flexible, you need to change, you need to adapt. And I don't think that that's new to anybody. But things that you need to know, number one, is that things will change, right? Technology will change. Nobody will be sitting here 10 years from now with the device that you've never provided. So know that what you're investing in today is going to be gone tomorrow. And it will build on that. The last thing is that you will change. And if you do not change, then you are doing a disservice to the field that you dedicated your life to. So the technology will change, and you will change. And finally, I'm going to be over for a moment, because I should have about 5 minutes left. So I'm going to give you a minute, and you a minute, and you a minute, and you a minute, and you a minute, but Paul, you don't get a minute. So, thank you.
Next up is Shannon Logan, and I just realized that I forgot to mention that Nick is from the Port Jervis School District. So, and thank you, Nick, for sending the Teacher Center some of your teachers to take courses with us from way over there in Port Jervis.
We pay for mileage.
Well, they actually did it. We do a little commercial. We do synchronous online learning now with Zoom, and it's working really well. We really enjoy it. It's a little rocky, but it's working. Anyway, Shannon.
This is important stuff. Thank you so much, everybody, for letting me come and join you today. I always enjoy being able to get out of Albany and actually talk to people who are working with children and working with pre-service teachers and seeing what is actually happening and getting a real reality check, because you are doing the work and we are trying very hard at STATA to support the work that you're doing, but we always need to know how we can do a better job with that. So I do have, let's talk about children and how we as educators, all of our goals is to make sure that our students are ready for life when they get out of both of them. Whether they go into careers, whether they go into college, whether they are preparing to participate in society. We need to prepare them for what is happening. And we've all heard that how can we prepare them when all of the jobs are going to be different, and we need to participate and help them gain all of the skills that will help them be ready for an uncertain future. But if we think about and we look at the statistics and we look at what is happening with the job market, we know that computer and information technology jobs are growing faster than any other jobs. We know that the average wages for information and computer technology jobs are higher than for other occupations. We know that the jobs that are out there that are requiring mid to high level technology skills are growing at a much faster rate, and that jobs that require no technology skills are decreasing. So we know that all of our students need to have an ability to use technology, to learn, to participate in society, to be successful in college and careers. And in New York, there are places, and I know these people and some of you, and you are doing amazing things. And I am not speaking to you when I say that we need to make sure all students are able to utilize technology effectively. But we have in New York an uneven, I will say, uneven implementation of technology integration. And this is a concern for us, this is a concern for the commissioner, this is a concern for the Board of Regents, who are looking very, very closely, as we all know, about issues of equity and making sure that all of our students have the ability to be successful. We have amazing pockets of innovation going on, things that just blow my mind. Every time I hear something like, oh my goodness, this is amazing, why can't all students in New York have this? And it's not just the wealthy districts. And it is not just the districts that are infused with technology because maybe they got a particular grant. People are doing this with regular decisions at the district and school level, and they are doing amazing things for their students. But it's not everywhere. And one of the things that we wanted to understand is if there was a desire from all of you to have a common understanding for what technology knowledge and skills students should have when they come out of school. And we released a survey, excuse me, in 2017, over 3,300 responses. 75% plus were from teachers, K-12 teachers, and the overwhelming 94% of the responses said yes, we do want a common statewide understanding. We need to know how to prepare our students. And so what has come of this is an integration with the new developing, as we speak, computer science, K-12 literacy, or excuse me, K-12 standards. We are under statute to develop these to be presented to the Board of Regents in November. And last September, we brought together a group of experts in computer science and educational technology. Overwhelmingly, they supported putting those two concept areas together under one umbrella, not subsuming or not integrating digital literacy into computer science, separate but in the same set of standards. So we are working on a common statewide set of standards for all students K-12 related to digital literacy. So this is being developed now. If you're interested in this work and want to know more, please email me, Shannon Logan at NYSED.gov. We are in the thick of things at this moment. But this is going on, and the reason why I'm starting here with students is that if you are someone working with pre-service teachers, the students who hopefully will be coming to you will themselves have a stronger knowledge in technology. And then if we have this knowledge, we can start to move students into college and careers and back into the schools so that they can support students with the technology. So this is one of the ways that we are helping all of you with this issue of how do we sustain this growth. We've done a number of changes at the State Education Department with an eye to making sure that we are using effectively and efficiently those small resources that we have, which is a struggle, to make sure that we are utilizing those as effectively as we can to make sure everybody has access. One of the biggest changes was to our Learning Technology Grant Program. This program has been going on for over 20 years. We recently, with this last round, did a number of changes, but the biggest one is the expectation that anyone who receives one of these grants is expected to publish under Creative Commons non-commercial share-alike license all of the materials that are produced from these grant funds. These are professional development programs. These are online courses. These are things related to educational technology that we are expecting as state ed, they be made available on websites for free for any New York State educator to access. And in this way, this $2 million will be used not just for the particular districts who won the grants, but for anybody who wishes to use and adapt these materials. We've also changed our technology planning process to make it more aligned with districts' overall goals for academic and instructional improvement. And we think that that we've been successful talking with our colleagues at our regional information centers and the Big 5 school districts, that in forcing these conversations, we've actually been driving a more cohesive approach to using technology funds for greater student achievement. So this has been, we have heard a successful program, and we are very excited about that. We also work very closely with our EdTech Advisory Committee. Some of those members are actually sitting behind me, so you know that we're getting great advice. And this group has been instrumental in helping define key issues that we need to be focusing senior leadership on related to educational technology. One of them is specifically the teacher prep pipeline and how we can work together, not only K-12, my office sits under K-12, but also working with higher education in matters related to educational technology. Kiersten Greene heads that committee, so you know that, that we are all working very closely together. And finally, I'm sorry if I've gone over my minutes, I can talk forever, but we are really focusing heavily on increasing communication. One of the calls, two of the topics we get most are online learning, and then the other one is, we want to implement X program. Who else is doing this, and how can we talk together? And so this is one of the things that we're really, really trying to focus on in our office. We have implemented EdTech Innovators, which is our periodic, we're trying to do it every 2 months, but our periodic newsletter that highlights really innovative practices across the state. We are working on a video program, which is fantastic, and can't wait to release those, about how educational technology is being utilized to assist, for instance, teachers of English language learners or special education students and other innovative programs across the state. We have been working on, as part of the district technology plans, we asked districts, this was not a required portion of the plans, but we asked them, if you are doing any of these things well, if you've implemented any of these, you know, if you've gone one-to-one, if you're working on a really robust digital citizenship program that you think that you could serve as a model for other districts interested in this, give us your name, let us know what you would be willing to talk about. And we're right now working to compile all that data and figure out a way to share that so that districts have a contact somewhere in the state. They're looking for another rural district that wants to do a digital conversion. We will have that ability to connect to somebody. So these connections, I think, are one way that we're going to move from those pockets of innovation and into a more sustainable model where we're increasing the scope and scale of those programs that are really working. I'm going to end. This is our EdTech Innovators newsletter. If you're interested in receiving this, you can visit our website. It's nysed.gov/edtech. And that's how to get on our lister. We put out everything from the newsletter, grant announcements, any other announcements that we have. But we also are still open and excited to get articles from all of you about innovative educational technology programs that you would like to share. Thank you very much, everybody, and have a great day.
Next is always interesting, so I'm going to get out of the way and
It's always interesting.
I'm going to get out of the way and let Andrea take the stage. Go ahead, Andrea.
Thanks, Paul. I just need a second to get set up. Turn notifications off, I'm sorry. So my name is Andrea Tejedor. I'm Assistant Superintendent for Curriculum Instruction and Technology in the Highland Falls, Fort Montgomery Central School District, as Paul mentioned. And I'm going to start my presentation by doing something a little bit different. Hopefully it works. I'm sorry in advance if I hit anybody with this. Hopefully I don't go rude. I've been practicing. So, there we go. Let me go back. Let me go back. All right. So, Amy talked about innovation, and she talked about the fact that innovation is not about technology. What innovation is about thinking. It's about thinking and setting up structures so that, I don't think it's going to fit anybody, is it? It's about setting up structures so that it enables us to see things from a different perspective. And so my question today that sort of led me to develop my little talk is, what will it take to create truly contemporary learning environments that meet the demands of 21st century society, engage learners, and produce graduates who are prepared to succeed in the world? Technology offers us the opportunity as educators to see things from a different perspective. We can use it to build personal learning opportunities for ourselves, but also it can help us to reach outside of ourselves. And problems that we are all facing locally, regionally, internationally, and give kids the opportunity to research and struggle with problems from very different lenses. So, what are the program structures that we need in place in order to support innovation? There we go. The land is split. Okay. There we go. That's okay. Okay. So. Two of the resources that we all have are space and time. How do we maximize those resources? That's not something that's unique to any district. We might have iPads, we might have Nexus 7s, not any longer, but we did have Nexus 7s. We might have desktops, we might have a makerspace, we might have a breakerspace. But one thing that we all have in common is that we all have space and time. And how do we create spaces where this innovation can happen? Where we give teachers, where we give students the opportunity to explore emerging technologies, for teachers to examine their pedagogy, and ultimately to evaluate outcomes. We spend a lot of money on EdTech every year. We have to spend time reflecting on the outcomes and what we achieved. To create a program for future-ready students, in Highland Falls, we built a culture of pedagogical innovation. We encourage teachers to take risks. We built the capacity for change and cultivated emerging technologies by working with a group of committed teachers that I call them our shift shapers. And we have embraced this challenge of taking risks and trying things in different ways. Toward that end of space and time, my posters for the presentation are back here. This is the model that we use for leadership, and it's a spiral model for change. And what's key about this is that we started our technology leadership team with a group of very committed individuals. That was 9 years ago. Over the course of the last 9 years, that membership has changed with people who have sort of come and gone, but they self-selected to join us. And the idea with a spiral model for change is that we are building capacity for our teachers to become leaders in an area that interests them. It's not about what I want as a principal or as a central office administrator. It's about what the teacher is passionate about. If they want a drone, here's a drone. Play with it in your classroom. Take that risk. Talk to students about perspective. What does it mean to see things from themselves? But take the drone and look at things from a different perspective as well. Have them use it to support writing, to support student thinking. One of the things that's happened too from our leadership team is that they have really embraced leading professional development and learning for their peers in the district. Most recently, they facilitated Professional Development Day, Superintendent's Conference Day. For any of you in the room that have organized Superintendent's Conference Day and Professional Development, it's often to mixed reviews. So Not a single, people came up to me and thanked me for the day repeatedly. They went to the teachers on the technology leadership team and thanked them. They asked for follow-up, and we're really quite remarkable. So our teachers have the opportunity and they have permission to take risks. They have permission to fail. And they have permission to recover from those failures. And they have the support to do that. Some of the other things that have happened, I have a teacher who got a subscription to SLU, where they go and they operate satellites and telescopes around the world remotely. And they can look at the sky from different places and perspectives. We've introduced programming from a pre-K-12 perspective. And for our pre-K students, they actually engage in logic and programming with using VBots. We engage all students in research. Again, pre-K through 12, our pre-K students are doing research presentations. We have a makerspace, we have a breakerspace, but it's all about the thinking. So how do we design our classrooms so that thinking is allowed to happen? And one of the things that we've also done is started to embrace different teaching strategies that remove the teacher from the center of the thinking. Our 6th grade teachers have hosted a hackathon 2 years in a row where the kids are invited to solve problems from the local community, and that's something that we're expanding as well. So I'm going to wrap up. I'm sure we're over 7 minutes right now. But embrace innovation. Let people take a risk, and it's amazing what happens. I'm so proud of the teachers in our district and the fact that they carry a lot of these practices into their classroom. Sorry, I'm really.
So our next presenter, the next panelist is again one from Jervis.
Good morning, everyone. Just take a second to sit up.
What do you need?
As we discuss sustainability in regards to technology, I think the first leading point is that it's really starting with the why. Why do we implement programs? Why do we implement certain curricula? In regards to technology, one thing that we really addressed as a learning community was student engagement. We have so many wonderful programs in our school district, and as many schools throughout our state and country are dealing with ESSA mandates with chronic absenteeism, we need our kids in school each and every day to take part in these wonderful programs. So as we look at student engagement, one thing that we really partnered with this year was LilBits, which is really a circuitry and coding system that we purchased for all of our buildings, K-12. And we were highlighted in such high regard that we were recently profiled in a case study in how our absenteeism, our students were finding coming to school more often and more rapidly because of these products. And it's not, I'm a big advocate of not a specific entity or product, but anything that engages students. So as we look at the why, in regard to sustainability, as Kiersten Greene was part of our panel at our K-12 Tech Summit this past January, one thing that we looked at was really looking at best practices in regards to sustainability in tech. And so we had over 25 school districts taking part in a really collaboration of best practices. And we really connected that higher ed and that K-12 really standard, along with bringing in guest speakers from all over the country to take part in really celebrating those best practices. And that's something we look to continue, as was mentioned several times in this presentation, is really sharing from one another and learning from one another is a way to progress. And another avenue in regards to sustainability, there's pictures of our kinesthetic labs that we just purchased, and it was really recently highlighted in Onward magazine. Sustainability really has to align with the mission of your school. And our mission is really teaching the whole child. As you see in the bottom corner, a young student using a little pointer to punch in her name on a keyboard. And this is a first grade student. So as we get students more and more moving while they're learning in that tactile sense, it really addresses the social, emotional, academic needs of our students. Along with that, we've incorporated a 0-hour phys ed program into our morning based on the readings and the studies of Naperville, Illinois, where phys ed was facilitated in the morning, and those cohorts of students scored second in the world in the TIMSS test. So this is also based on a book, Spark by Dr. Raddy. We integrate technology in our morning phys ed program before the school day, where students go in, they take a Google form about targeted instruction. We have heart rate monitors to ensure they're in the target heart rate zone, and we track those students in regards to attendance, academic, and behavior, and by all studies that is skyrocketing. So we just had a great turnout with a budget, and this is going to be put into, we're going to offer this every day at our K-6 level. So this is something that we're excited about, that aligns with our mission, that aligns with integrating technology, and really goes into that why factor. Along with that, we want to really facilitate real-life experiences. This idea really started as the high-tech high professional development, where we had some teachers attend, wonderful program, and our teachers were tasked with coming up with a project-based learning activity. So out of that, they competed in a regatta race in the Delaware Valley Pool past Friday, and so they built boats, raced them, instructed them, and it was a wonderful experience in really using their sense of technology, we're coming up with that, really addressing that engagement. And all the presentations really involved a cute baby, this is mine. And as my daughter experiences going to the beach the first time, I think as we look at sustainability, and really as the broad overreaching goal of the next generation science standards, looking at phenomena, awe, and wonder, we want each lesson to have inspire wonder and awe in our students. How do we use technology in a meaningful way, but how do we capture that excitement in our students? So I think that you really look at addressing students in terms of, does it answer the why? Why are we implementing this program? Does it align with your mission? And ours is teaching the whole child. And the third is, are you really looking at how we inspire and promote awe in our students? And as my daughter jumps through Publix for the first time and experiences everything, yesterday she got my credit card, it's a little bit too early, but this is what we want to inspire our kids. And in regards to how do we keep our teachers really up to date on rapid expanding technology, we partner with Tech, which is a vendor here today, to really look at their online platform to facilitate flexible online professional development. That teachers can receive TTL either in-service credits before or after school. We have our tech coaches that are going to be facilitating this. And just as our teachers have and administrators have very fast-paced lives in terms of childcare, after-school obligations, we afford them the opportunity to receive professional development on that online platform. And the best thing about it is we have our teachers really report this professional development through screencastify and other video recording systems. So we celebrate in that the teacher model. So that's where that we address it and really affording our teachers a flexible professional development opportunity. And really lastly, when we look to really address our teachers and what skills that pre-service teachers need, and speaking with Dr. Greene, I think the most important thing is not a specific skill in terms of coding or whatnot, but I think it's a growth mindset. We will coach the teachers up. We will teach them what they need to do. But at the end, we want teachers to come into our learning community and really be ready to learn, be ready to embrace opportunities, and to really take the challenges and all the opportunities that are given to them. Thank you.
So our next panelist, I'm going to let her come right up because we may be running a little bit short on time. So Josephine?
Are we 5 or 6?
6.
Oh, you're good.
6.
Six.
All right. 6.
Hi, good morning. My name is Josephine Salvador, and I have the privilege of being the Executive Director of the New York State Master Teacher Program. So I've got 3 things. So 3 things to share today with before I start, kind of what is the New York State Master Teacher Program? Because we're the young ones on the panel, and it's, I'm like, oh gosh, I went last, and I should have gone first, because we're new. We're in our 6th year, and the short version is Governor Cuomo in 2013 announced a new initiative to invest in classrooms, invest in teachers. And so folks that have 4 years are teaching science, technology, engineering, math. I want to bring that in a little bit here today. We're looking at an interdisciplinary program. Have the opportunity to apply to participate in this crazy 4-year ongoing long-term professional development that's partnered with SUNY campuses. And it's a state program, so that means we're in 9 9 different SUNY campuses. And so what I'm going to focus on today is the higher ed connection, and it's been a little difficult, but at the same time, it's been really successful, bumps in the road. I'm also going to focus on a little bit of that teacher-led component, which we're hearing here. I think those are the things that I can add to the conversation today. Following Kiersten's kind of 2 questions she posed to us is, what are we seeing in terms of educational technology? What do teachers need? What should be the priorities? I think I'm going to start backwards with an answer to the question of how are teachers dealing with this rapid pace of change and everything's coming their way, and ooh, guess what, PTS now has a new AP course, and ooh, now we've got new tools. And sometimes the funding doesn't come as fast, equitably across the state. And I think the one thing I want to say is, slowly, how are we going to engage and support ed tech in classrooms is slowly. And so the Master Teacher Program is an organization where teachers participate over 4 years in learning groups together. And they are, I think about where we are, somebody said, well, we're at the nexus. The Master Teacher Program is at the nexus of theory and practice. And you know where that goes. Theory is the higher ed, and the practice is the K-12. I really don't like that. I think that cuts short both the higher ed partners and the K-12 people. And so where I think we sit is at that nexus of needs, and nexus of resource, and nexus of experience that wraps all around that. And so what we do in the Master Teacher Program, and I'm going to share some examples, is what happens if you have really curious teachers that have, everyone here talked about the value and the need for teachers to want to learn and to want to play. And I can't thank you enough for creating an environment where making mistakes is okay. And that I would say is not just ed tech, that's just I get up and I gotta make a mistake. And so what does it mean when you have the teachers together saying, here's what my district would like me to do. Here's what the state would like me to do. I'm really glad that there's going to be more conversation and more direction and guidance and clarity. I think that's great. And yet, you're in your classroom. And so what we do in the Master Teacher Program is bring together teachers who want to wrestle with those questions. And there are teachers, such as Michelle's, with a lot of passion for ed tech, who want to play with the drones. I have broken and smashed more drones because I don't know what I'm doing with them. But luckily my family is very supportive, and I get another one for my birthday and all the holidays that I command that I can get a present for the holidays. And so we are coming together to play and to make mistakes, go back out to the classrooms with the ideas, and then come back together to kind of wrestle with what went wrong. And so 2 ideas that I want to talk about with educational technology, and I have to say thank you to Cheryl Spada, who is the regional director for the Mid-Hudson region of the New York State Master Teacher Program. And so the 2 examples are coming out of what teachers are doing in Mid-Hudson. And so the first example has to do with 3D printers. And so you may know this, that SUNY New Paltz is really an innovator and embraced 3D printing and the movement of Fab Labs. And so this is where we need to be providing, not just our teacher prep students, but we also need to be providing this to our undergraduate students. And so they connected with the master teachers and said, we have resources. We'd also like you to learn about this. So 4 years later, we now have a really healthy 3D printer lending library, where teachers are working together in Master Teacher Program meetings. How does this work? What is the coding? What do I need in my school? What can the students do? What ideas do you have? Loaning out the printer back to their school, and I will say that's important to me because not all schools have the ability to buy the printer and to buy the resources. And yet we want the students to have that experience. What I do hope, and this is a little bit aside, which wasn't in my talking points, what I do hope is that if a school sees that positive experience with that tech tool, then that's a good investment for the school to make. They already had a bit of a try run. And I don't wear that hat of deciding how district money is spent, but I can only imagine you sweat when you're about to purchase something and you don't know what's going to end up dusty in and of them. So that is something that we've been able to do. The second thing is the resource example coming from a teacher. Drones, not just myself, but smarter, more talented teachers are really excited about drones. And so a few master teachers brought some drones to their meetings. And there was a lot of play, and there was a lot of learning, and there was, we can bring these back to our classrooms. And so the master teacher program now has a drone lending library. I don't know what else to call it, a drone library. And Cheryl reports to me she hasn't seen them in a while, because the moment they come in, the set goes out again. And this is coding, this is programming, this is teachers learning together, bringing it to their school, then going back to their meetings and reworking all over again, what more can we do with drones? And the teachers are modeling the learning, they're modeling this idea of this dynamic nature of learning, but they're also modeling going slowly, a lot slower than I'm talking right now, because they're going in and out. And so that is what we've been able to support in the Master Teacher Program. It is wonderful to be a partner with higher ed, that no one's kind of dictating on how it goes, and that's a wonderful experience. And again, we're in 6 years, so I know there's more to come. The last thing I will say is kind of the cherry on my ice cream sundae, and it was referred to here, is how to make sure that the good ideas don't stay in one school, or in one classroom, or in one district. And so another kind of support mechanism that we do in the Master Teacher Program is the teacher that never thought they could do a presentation at their statewide organization, or their superintendent's day. We support them, maybe kind of like this on their back, to say, we're gonna help you be able to share that, you're gonna workshop it here, whatever you need. Oftentimes we have teachers that are co-presenting. And so what we're seeing is you've got a teacher-led innovation in a school, sharing with other teachers how it's done. And with that whole idea of sharing mistakes and sharing excitement, and it's ongoing. I think that's what it is for us. I'm good. I'm over. Oh, wow. Okay, I'll stop. Slowly, over time, and with the partners sharing both their expertise and their resources, I think what comes up for me. So thank you very much. Thank you.
Last but not least, Kiersten Greene.
And I just want to say thank you to everyone for being here today. Not a single person batted an eye. They're like, yes, absolutely, I'll be there. So we really appreciate hearing from you amazing experts that I get to chat with very often. Okay, so when I first thought about what I would say on this panel, I had a hard time narrowing it down, of course. So I'm going to stick with the questions that I posed to the group. But first wanted to share a little video that I made as an example for an assignment in a writing class that I teach at the graduate level in the literacy program here. So it's a teaching, writing, and multimodal text production class, and in a way it fits very nicely with what we do here and what we're thinking about in terms of integrating technology in the higher ed program. And it gets a little personal, which, you know how to do that.
For most of my life, writing process has been really chaotic. Kind of like the squall that came out of nowhere at the start of the semester. When I get an idea, it's like a massive fireball bursting through the atmosphere. And when that idea comes to fruition, it's like a perfect day in the Hudson Valley. When it doesn't, it's more like the Blair Witch Project. I've always enjoyed writing, but hit a bit of a slump in 2013 when my doctoral advisor, who had read and given feedback on everything I wrote for the previous 8 years, passed away. It's been hard to bring myself to share my writing again. But I'm starting to come out of my shell, and teaching this class over the last 4 years has certainly helped. I've had the unique opportunity of working with educators at a time when education is changing faster than most of us can keep up. And with the mountains of information I've gathered over the last 6 years, I finally have some things to say.
The technological advances in my lifetime have been astonishing by many measures. The classrooms have taken a little bit more time to catch up, and primarily because of access to funding.
I'm excited to start work on a book proposal this summer. I've been gathering a lot of research on what we're doing in teacher preparation to effectively teach teachers for what is increasingly becoming a hyper-technologized society. Just like each of you and your students, I'm nervous about sharing what I have to say. But if we don't make ourselves vulnerable, then how can we ever expect our students to do the same? And with everything going on in our society, we have to find a way to hold space for each other, to teach children to take care of each other, for who else will determine our future but us? Having a child has brought this to light for me more than anything. As I watch him grow and explore the world around him, I'm in constant awe. I wish we could just bottle that innocence and joy that he so readily makes available to everyone in his path. As he shows more and more interest in learning how to write, my heart grows in leaps and bounds. I hope that someday he too has the chance to make himself vulnerable through writing, to find his own voice, to explore the world through text, both on screen and off. In the meantime, I'm on a path of digital discovery through writing. And while technology honestly terrifies me at times, it's also pretty amazing what we can do when we make discovery possible in our classrooms. And at the end of the day, writing helps me hit pause long enough to make meaning out of everything going on around us. Thank you for sharing this journey with me this semester.
For me, technology and writing are very inextricably linked. For part of the reason I was hired here was to develop and teach this class, and so my technological advancements in my own knowledge have really aligned with the ways in which I think about writing and how it's shifting really in our society right now. So I thought that would be interesting to share. So a couple of things. In terms of sustaining, one of the questions I asked was, what are the top 2 things you believe are most important for teachers to know or be able to do today? And one of the things I feel like is most important is the knowledge that they can do it. And I'll say a little bit more about that in a second. The second thing is to be able to be flexible in sort of any different situation. And I really think about this in sort of when I'm teaching how to write in a more multimodal way, or how to teach how to write. Because we have to be able to really, what I said in the video, make ourselves vulnerable to what we don't know, right? I think that's perhaps one of the most challenging things for those of us that wrote our college applications on typewriters, right? For those of us who didn't have an iPhone or a smartphone to be instant, an instant connection with people around us when we were in K through 12. So really, when I think about being able to sort of do it, we have to know that sometimes we just have to power down the system, right? Know that we click around until we figure it out. Sometimes we have to check the cables and connections, and we need to know our way about different parts of a computer. So that's part of what we do here at SUNY New Paltz, is like stop every now and again, hit pause and say, we're having a hard time with actually my students in the audience can attest to the fact that when the boards don't work, I'm always like, I'm gracefully modeling for you how technology fails. Because we know that the one thing that we can guarantee is it will fail at some point, right? In terms of flexibility, and then there are multiple pathways to any point, right? Given how many different ways we can do things today, it's important that we allow students this space, as so many of you have talked about, right? Alternative avenues from point A to point B. In terms of flexibility, like I said, we need to be prepared for things not to work out. And I'm just thinking of one afternoon when the internet fails. What do? I have all of my classes on the internet, right? So what I ended up doing is the electricity was working in the classroom, the internet was out, and I was able to pull up my slides on my phone and then project that using the dot cam, right? We just continue to go on along. So we have to be thinking about, in that moment when things fall apart, right? How do we continue doing what we're supposed to be doing and the thing that's at hand? Good teaching requires that we're willing to change our path midway. I really do believe that. The next question I asked is, what do you recommend to school districts in terms of addressing the rapid pace of growth and change? So I'm going to respond to this from a school event perspective, if that's okay. In a recent white paper that came out of the Office of Education Technology, there were 6 challenges that were identified for schools of education specifically to integrating technology and really thinking about how do we professionally develop the educators who educate educators, right? And so I don't think any of these are surprising. There's a lack of research, there's not enough resources, time, et cetera, et cetera. So rather than going into all of these and being a little bit of a Debbie Downer, I want to think with you about what are some of the solutions. So I have a couple of ideas. One thing might be a Smart Schools Bond Act for higher ed, just saying. I know
Talk to the voters.
yes. Oh, is that how it came about?
That's how it came about.
Okay, so I need to propose the legislation apparently. Okay. Let's think about creating instructional design and technology specialists for higher ed. I said earlier that we have an amazing faculty development center here, and it's awesome, but there's just a sort of dissemination of information is the priority there, right? How do we use tech to disseminate information, not how do we teach teachers, right, how to teach little kids. And so I'd really love to see some schools of education throughout the country are now implementing something like that. I sort of tried to be that person this year and found that it was really hard to be that person on top of my load. So I'd love to see more schools of education developing a primary person to do some of this work. We need to keep building infrastructure to learn from and with all of you, right? I think our K-12 partners are that little clip where my hair was shorter from 2017, and I'm like, oh, classrooms are taking a while to catch up. That's not true anymore at all. In fact, I think we're running circles, or you're running circles around us at higher ed, and we need to figure out ways to keep that communication going. Let's design and implement some longitudinal P20 studies. Let's gather together, partner from out of this network or elsewhere, and think about how to capture this data in real time so it can continue to inform our work going forward. And partner. The last question that was suggested or was asked by me, I keep forgetting that I was the person who posed these questions. What types of skills and digital savvy would we hope that new teachers would have? So one of the things that I definitely have noticed we're lacking in and we're working on is frameworks, right? Practice without theory is just practice. So every pre-service candidate should know about what the standard model is, should know about what TPAC is, should know about the ISTE standards, right? I'd love to see the ISTE standards embedded in pre-service certification programs, right? We're thinking about that now here at the School of Education and possibly thinking about a certificate of advanced study or a micro-credential that could lead to ISTE certification. So if you're interested in that, let me know, because we'd love to hear feedback if there's an audience for that. They need to have some privacy and data know-how, right? Like they have to stop and read those privacy policies, understand what companies are collecting on teachers and their children in the classroom, right? It's something that we go into sometimes blindly. We all scroll to the bottom of the page and we're like, yep, I accept. And when we actually did a workshop a couple of months ago, we were like, Googled him. What? Really? I mean, yeah, it is making my experience, but what? And so, had sort of this eye-opening moment to realize what's actually collected when we say, yes, I accept. And then transferable skills, right? Being able to recognize that whatever you can do in Google Drive, you can do in 365. Being able to take skills across, I think for a couple of years there, it was like so many new things were popping up every day. It was like, how do I learn this app? How do I learn this app, right? There's definitely more continuity now. Being able to sign in using a Google or 365 account to many apps and being able to see some of that transferability already built into the infrastructure of the tools is great, but I really think that pre-service teachers need that, right? And I'm probably going over now, right? So a couple of requests I have. Let's figure out a research project, perhaps coming out of this network or conversations after, to think about how we actually can measure the impact of what we've been doing. A couple of districts, and I have partnered a little bit here and there, but we need more money. So one of the things I'm looking at this summer is where are some fund sources that we can actually secure to support doing a long-term research study. Because those of you that I've worked with know that I can spend like just a tiny little time, and then it's hard to sort of keep the ball rolling. So let's think about that. If you're interested in doing something like over the next 10 years, let's think out loud today and beyond. We can create some sort of consortium. Create partnerships in which pre-service candidates can come and shadow tech directors and tech integration specialists, right? I don't know if you remember the 3 people that I had come up here earlier. I am sure that the 3 of them are going to end up in some regional school districts being absolute dynamos in terms of tech. I'd love to be able to say, hey, go and work in, I know we're talking about Highland, right? Like, go work in Wallkill, go and take a look at what it looks like in New Paltz to be able to be a tech director and get a chance to sink your teeth into that. Keep the invitations to us flowing, please. Most of you know I'll say yes to anything. And let's, say again?
I said no, if you're caught.
Oh.
You need to say no
Sometimes there's so much to learn. And then also think of this, NYedHUb, this thing that we've created as a place to share research, to share job postings, to share information and best practices as much as possible. And on that, and join us here on campus whenever you'd like. And so on that last note, I mentioned earlier, we're thinking about implementing a monthly Twitter chat to continue this P20 conversation, right? Because what we've talked about today may even change by tomorrow, right? That's part of, I feel like the flexibility and the persistence and the importance of knowing that whatever you're doing today is probably going to shift tomorrow, next week, 5 years from now. We are all in this together, so we really need to pool our resources and figure out a way to figure out how to go forward. So I'm going on and on and on, but really, truly, thank you all for being here today and being a part of this conversation. What questions do you have?
So we have some time, about 15 minutes, right?
Probably 10, so the next thing starts at 10:25,
Oh,
technically.
it does, so we are close to the very end, but.
We can take like another 7 minutes, I'd say. No, we're not going far.
Hello, there you go. Okay. I don't know if anyone, we don't have much time, but does anyone want to share an idea or have a question, a specific question? We've caught up with our time now in terms of the program, but yeah. So I'll,
This is a very specific one.
just so everybody can hear you behind you as well.
The master teacher program, loaning library, is that only for master teachers?
Currently, yes.
Okay.
It's a volume issue.
Thank you.
So I was going to address that because it has a teacher center, loans, 3D printers, some to districts that are members. And then the Center for Innovation and Education, we also have some mini 3D printers that we also lend out. So depending on which group you're with, there's the possibility as long as you agree.
How can I answer that question?
Sure.
I would also like to share with Captain NYSCATE that actually the June 8th, we have a board meeting that will grant numerous awards to innovative classroom ideas. We made it so it's very simple, and it's not limited to K-12, parent is also eligible, that you simply write up your perspective as to what your idea is. And it's really just to give you that extra money, and around $2,000, is that correct, Paul? Paul's my grants just funded me a call. But we grant those, we give the money, we fund those grants for exactly that reason. And I'd also like to put out there publicly, if there's a way that we can work together, because I think that NYSCATE and the Master Teacher Program, we have a wonderful partnership as well. So, thank you.
Thank you. I just want to add that it's gatherings like this that yield those things, that networking. Cynthia's at BOCES, they do tremendous work in the districts, we're at the teacher center. So if we pool our resources and work together, there's no reason why we can't leverage that. So I think the communication that we have here needs to continue, and Kiersten is right. That conversation has to keep going to support all the things that have been said today. So another question?
I'm already thinking, like a bunch of the things that have been mentioned, the grant from the NYSED, we definitely should gather all that information and disseminate it after.
Is there another question or any comment? All right.
Paul Shell.
That's all right. Go ahead, Mike.
This innovation is like really, really hard work. It's very hard. And so this is a question I have here for you, but it could be for the whole panel. So you talk about, this about failing and taking risks. That requires a certain culture and it requires time. So what are the concrete things that you do in your district to enable that type of culture and enable that kind of time? Because I think we hear from districts all the time that they say that they're doing these things, but how do you actually operationalize it in a way that people will actually feel like they can take risks, that they can they can fail, and that they know that there's time for that hard work in order to.
Which one of you wants to take that first?
So I've been working with districts for 9 years, first of all, so I can stand up here and tell you how easy it is, but the first thing I had to do was build trust with those teachers. And they were invited to join the technology leadership team that we developed. And it's been a very organic process over the past 9 years. And truly, you talked about sort of that merging of theory and practice, or research and practice. I use this model, the spiral model for change. And really, I implement that with Fidelity in terms of inviting people in to be a part of it and providing them with the space and time to make sure that they could experiment. We got together monthly initially, and they were encouraged. They were encouraged to ask for things that they wanted. We talked about creating buckets, and each teacher had their own bucket with their own ideas in it, and then we provided the resources in that bucket to make that happen in their classrooms. So there really were, as you said, pockets of innovation, not around the state, but within our school. And other teachers started to see that, and then they became peer coaches. So we provided opportunities for the teachers to be outside of their classroom and to sit side by side with their colleagues and say, hey, I see, you're doing something really cool, Janina. Can I come to your classroom and can you show me how that's working? And then Janina would, take 45 minutes and show me how that worked. So again, really maximizing two things that we have control over is space and time, and creating that. And then just nurturing it over the past 9 years to the point where the teachers really do feel like they can ask for things, they can ask for space, they can ask for time, they can ask for the resources, and then they're supported in that. And it's an ongoing conversation. It's not a conversation you can have one day and then walk away and come back to 6 months later. It has to be nurtured. And you have to be attentive to what teachers want to do and support them as they sort of experiment in their areas.
Thank you, great question. And I'm just going to echo a lot of what Andrea said. And I think that the most important thing to do is model to your staff best practices. I too work with Janina, and she is wonderful. One thing that we have implemented in our learning community are Tinker Tuesdays and Thursdays. So in the morning before school and after school, we model best practices. And that could be from new tech integration, it could be a text format, for example, like Padlet, and even things that are technical aspect like My Learning Plan or Frontline. And what we do in a non-threatening manner, we offer all of these opportunities for teachers to come in, earn CTLE credit to really check that box and really support them. And then we follow up with our teachers by giving them an opportunity to expand it more with our tech integration coaches, and then we celebrate success. Another thing in terms of providing opportunity to encourage to take risks. The slide of my daughter jumping into the water for the first time, that's what we started the year with. And I think the most important thing is that, as I really spoke about before, when I had two teachers come to me and they wanted to put 6th graders and 11th graders in a cardboard boat in a body of water, yes, as an administrator, that takes time to also be flexible and support your teachers and really follow through that idea. And it was a wonderful experience. And I can give you a ton of examples of how we send our teachers to wonderful examples of professional development, support their interests, but most importantly, support your teachers' passions. One more thing, as a building principal, I was very well supported by Mrs. Yvonne Harrington in the Walker School District as my administrator. One thing I implemented with Ulster BOCES was a tech integration program. And I refer to it as one who's then each month. I took a new piece of technology that was free, that was on loan, and I modeled it at my faculty meetings. And I encouraged teachers to use it to sign up from 3D printers to formative assessment technology tools. And that was able to share it in a non-threatening way to expose it. Thank you.
And that program is available for Ulster County
Yes.
districts. It's called Technology to Go, and we have a library that we lend out to Ulster. Thank you for mentioning that.
You're welcome.
So that concludes our session for this morning. Thank you very much.